the first panel already started bleeding into the second one. The second panel is going to talk about data. Data is the new oil. And I think that statement has a completely different meaning in this region specifically, right? So very interesting. I think, what we're going to talk today is about data analytics and how that is actually being utilized by banks, by financial institutions to make better decisions, faster decisions, and finally, boost profitability, right? So I'm going to call on stage my fellow panelists. First up, let me call Marwa. Marwa is the Director of Operations at Kamco Invest. Marwa, if you could take the second chair, so that, yes. So Marwa has built the entire data management ground up, and really right from, making sure that the data is usable, no missing data, and having the central repository, and all of that has been under her leadership. So thank you, Marwa, for joining us. Next up, we have Salman. Salman is the Senior Vice President at Strategic Planning at Markaz. He is also someone who has utilized data for taking strategic decisions. And really, this is, as a wealth manager, data is the most important thing for you to take decisions. Next, let me call on Sanket Mokashi. He is Deputy General Manager at Bergen Bank. Again, he is the one actually. If your expenses are not cleared, you have to go to him, right? But jokes apart, I think overall, he looks at a $20 billion company and making sure that it's on a profitable track when it comes to the financials, right? So thank you so much. My name is Nikhil Gokhale. I am the head of research at IBS Intelligence, and it's my privilege to have this, question these guests on on data, right? So let me get started. Again, thank you so much for being here. I'm going to start with you, Sanket, right? Let's start with why we started this topic. What are the challenges when it comes to data management? Why are we even talking about it?
Yeah, first, Nikhil, thank you so much for the opportunity of being here. Thank you for Chetan and the team. Coming to the topic, I think in principally we have always seen that when it comes to organizations, data management or in terms of leveraging of the data has always remained as a challenge. When we talk about whether it is about using the data, information, whether we talk about using the data information or the regulations around it, or we talk about the governance structure within the organization, it always remains as a challenge for organizations. Coming to financial institutions, we have always seen that in the past, financial institutions have had challenges in terms of using legacy systems, where you are not able to use the information that is now recently being available, whether you are able to stack this information up and make meaningful or logical analysis around this, or whether we talk about even if institutions are upgrading, the information is sitting in silo systems. So then having this information in one place, being able to make meaningful analysis is again a challenge. In the other instances, especially when it comes to data, this fragmented data also becomes a concern for the organizations. As finance, what we have mainly seen is the accuracy and the consistency of data has become a huge challenge when it sits in these various silo systems. So getting that information together, making sense of it, and then making useful predictive analysis around this becomes a challenge around it.
Understood. And, I think you also inherited a similar problem at Kamco. How did you go about, again, let me step back and ask you why. What were the real challenges? What was the genesis of the problem, and then what did you do about it?
Yes, actually, my whole experience is in operations, but I did spend the last 15 months working in data management and data quality monitoring at Kamco. So I'll talk personally about the challenges I personally faced, and of course, we all know that financial institutions often face a lot of challenges, which can undermine their efforts, no matter how good their efforts are. Well, adding to whatever my colleague here just mentioned, of course, data silos is one of the main issues I personally faced while working on my project, and integration issues, where you have the data fragmented across multiple systems, location, departments, which makes it very difficult to achieve a comprehensive review and ensure data quality. I think one of the most common issues also, like among all financial institutions, is being stuck with a legacy system. So a lot of financial institutions still rely on I would call it outdated technologies or legacy systems which can hinder their efforts as well, and data quality efforts. It's due to compatibility issues, due to limited functionalities of the system. One of the main challenges also, I would say, is the regulatory complexity and the compliance requirement. Financial institutions are subject to numerous regulation requirements, and which can create an additional challenge for data quality maintenance. And because the main focus of all, I would call this as a very common issue between all financial institutions, because the focus will always be on how to meet they all strive to meet these requirements. The ever-changing reporting and disclosure standards. Data security is also one of the main concerns, and privacy concerns also. So all financial institutions, of course, do deal with client-sensitive information, which put an extra obligation on them in applying a very strict data protection regulation as well. The biggest challenge also, I would see, lastly, the last challenge, and I think is one of the most important, is treating this whole project of data management and data quality monitoring as a pure traditional IT project, which shouldn't be the case. I think the focus should be on the data itself as a strategic asset of the company. So I think transformation into a data-driven culture for any company requires, in my opinion, far more than technology. So they have to be processes in place, a good plan on how to maintain the data, do it in a scalable way in order to be able to use it in whatever analysis or reporting requirement you might need. Increasing the volume of the data is also a big challenge that I personally faced. The variety of the products that Kamco especially handles, and the amount of complexity it introduced in terms of calculation and everything was a big challenge for us. So these are I think there's also other challenges. The biggest two for me personally were the data silos and the regulatory requirements. Like, we had to do a lot of efforts to make that happen and address all.
I think there's a lot of homework for all the banks and financial institutions here. So you have to become a AI first organization. You have to become a digital first organization, and now Marwa is saying you have to become a data first organization. So, a lot of homework for financial institutions. I'm going to bring you in, Salman. So she just touched upon MIS and reporting, and how are you utilizing this information to improve your decision making?
Okay, thank you, Nikhil, and thank you for inviting me for this webinar. I'll take a step backward and just try to set the scene. Because we come from an asset management company, and the event is more driven towards digital banking. So if you draw a scale on the maturity of financial institutions in terms of data usefulness and even like digitization, you'll have banking at the top right, very tech savvy. They use data, customer insights. I've heard from the previous panel, like, they do products for a customer. And that for us is a little bit far when you talk about asset management and wealth management. We are catching up, but it's like there is a lag to face the facts. This is to start with. Now, when it comes to how we are using that, so we are an asset management company. We manage different asset classes, equities, public and unpublic, fixed income, real estate, and other asset classes. So the use of real-time data differs based on the asset class. So let's say for listed equities, we require instant real-time data for our portfolio managers to make decisions, allocate assets, and so on. And maybe it's less required for other asset classes like real estate, which is more illiquid. When we have these kind of data, we process them through our legacy systems, as Marwa mentioned. And in some extreme cases, we use algorithms. So in the case for, let's say, market making activity, they use algorithms to make trades in the market. And then the final stage is we use visualization and BI tools to expose these data to the end users and help them make informed decisions. And this is like a really focused area that we are doing at Markaz. We have assigned champions in different departments. We have trained them on BI solutions. We ask them to train their colleagues on how to use these BI solution, and the momentum is growing in that area. So this is the focus: visualization tools to help get the end users data at the right time and make informed decisions.
So if I could just understand this point a little better. So when you said that you train people on using BI
Yes.
or solutions, do you also get them to understand the technology also a little better?
Yes, because we selected champions who are tech enthusiastic. They are not IT people, but they are enthusiastic about learning about technology, and we train them about the technology. So they still do their day-to-day work, but apart from that, they are handling BI solution. They understand the technology, but of course not as a technical. They don't do coding. They don't do these languages, but they understand the basics. They make sure that they know how to use that solution for their department. So they help convert all the reporting from the traditional spreadsheets to BI and dashboards, and that's a growing, a day-to-day effort and incremental. It's we do it on a daily basis.
That's a very interesting takeaway where you're now putting the people who are the actual users. You are enabling them with the right tools instead of making the tech people figure out what the problems and what could be required by the business people. So this is a great learning, I would say. Same question, Sanket, pushing it further in terms of how do you use any kind of reporting, any kind of visualization in decision making?
So I think when it comes to banking, when we talk about using visualization, I think dashboarding becomes a very critical aspect there, where you have information which is available in terms of graphs, in terms of charts. This makes it easier for decision makers to use, whether we talk about, as the earlier topic was about MIS information. Historical information through MIS is always available with the institutions. However, we then talk about integrating this with real-time information. Getting the real-time information, being able to integrate it with historical information, presenting it in terms of graphs and charts, enables the decision makers to take prompt actions. Maybe whether it is relating to any changes in the customer behaviors, which we talked in the first panel a lot about, whether it is about changes in the regulations, whether it is changes into your competitors, any new products that they are able to design. So you are able to come up with more faster decision making. You are able to come up with something which is more customer centric, which is also risk averse, at the same time ensuring that it is in line with the regulations of the country as well.
Very interesting. And what would you say, if the thought that Salman just said, putting the users in the actual making the dashboards, do you think that could also be something very, very helpful?
Absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, these are the people who are going to use the dashboards at the end of the day. They should have the ability to do customizations. They should have the ability to do data exploration. So in terms of identifying whether some of the information really makes sense for you, filtering it out, whether you are able to find out what elements are outliers, seeing information that is really key for your decision making, and using that information to progress with the organization.
Makes sense. Enable people.
Enable people,
Enable
that is key.
people. So, Marwa, I'm going to come back to you.
Sure.
I'm going to ask you about your journey, right? Because you said you inherited inherited organization which had silos.
Right.
How did you go about actually, the task could have looked extremely difficult. So how did you go about? How did you break that into smaller problems and win?
Yeah, the first focus was on the data management itself. My main concern. I just want to mention that we built we worked in the data maintenance first and data monitoring and quality monitoring as well. We made sure we have a strong database at the beginning, and then we moved into dashboarding, and we started with only 3-4 pieces of important company KPIs, I would say, and performance metrics. And then we moved, as we speak today, to almost 35 or 40 different metrics. So actually, I just assigned a team to work on that project. And I made sure that first we assigned, like I would say, a data quality ownership within the team, where I assigned a data quality specialist within my team itself. And of course, within their respective domains and business and areas of business. So we did this at the beginning, and then we set priorities for our data quality initiatives. So we had more focus on whatever will have based on their potential impact on the company, on the decision making, everything, based on the risk mitigation. And of course, top priority is alignment with the organizational goal requirements and regulatory requirements. This cannot be ignored at all. We set some sort of, I would say, data quality scorecard, defining, which provided a comprehensive view of what are the main data quality performance and metrics across the different data domain. We discussed about the best approach to which could enable us to have a proactive approach in identifying the potential data quality issues. So we made it in a way that it will be easy to spot any issues in case of any. We started with some sort of traditional approach, I would say, using Power BI traditional files first. So we saw the first 2-3 pieces of analysis we built. We shared it with our CEO, with our business offices, and we got a very valuable feedback on those. And when we were so confident about this, we continued working on this and moved to a more dynamic sort of thing, dashboard with real-time connectivity to our management information system. So this is how it happened, and we managed to do this in the past 15 minutes.
If you had to do this all over again, what is that one thing that you would maybe want to change? What was what was the most difficult for you to achieve?
Actually, we had to work a lot on the back office processes. I would change the way because in order to do this, we had to revisit all our transaction types used in our back office, and then change some process flows at back office end. So I would revisit all the process flows first, and the manner in which all our transactions are captured first, and get we did had a feedback at the beginning, looking for what kind of insights our business offices or front offices are looking for. But I would do it I would start with the clear requirements first. So we had to put a lot of efforts from our side and just offer to them whatever we can think of. So I would have I would have started with more clear requirements, had better processes in place. Now we recently put a lot of processes, and we're having a regular check on those processes. We review it, we refine it as and when we add any additional type of analysis into our dashboard, and we leverage, to be honest, on the industry best practices and technology right now, like emerging technologies, to have more predictive analytics to catch any potential data quality issues.
Makes sense.
So this is the thing. It happened as and when we started, but I think at the end, having a solid database is very important and crucial. for
Our
this to happen.
lives, all our lives will be much easier if we had, very clear objectives set right up front.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that's not how life works. It always changes, right? So, I think, making that dynamic. So when you say making that strong database, I think that is very important, because then you could build anything on top of it.
Of course. And when we talk about database, we're not talking about the investment owned by our portfolio and investment funds clients. Well, because whenever we present the data to our executive management, we have to show whatever the portfolio holdings are, fund unit holders are. But the main concern remain to show them the AUM broken into multiple products. And those products managed by Kamco, they're not only offers for our portfolio clients, with which we have, of course, contract agreement and everything, or to our unit holders, in which we do full onboarding and KYC and due diligence on them, and they officially become our clients. There is also a big part of these products sold to direct holders as well. So this piece of information was not there in the system to start with, in order to be able to report a collective, comprehensive AUM. Also, considering the AUM managed through our other branches in Saudi and the AFC, we had to work on that as well. So what we did is we created separate branch for them with different numbering convention, so as not to clash with our existing client and impact our current reporting to our clients. So at the end, the CEO, executive management, they want to see a collective AUM, including all AUM managed through other branches. So all of these were very big challenges, which made it very easy for us after that to deliver whatever kind of analysis could be required from front offices.
Absolutely. Yeah. That makes complete sense. So I'm going to, take the conversation forward with you, Salman. So in terms of the data, the types of the data. So yes, the traditional data is important, useful, but what else? What more? And how do you make sure that your systems are ready for it? So any data which is non-conventional, so to say, is there room for improvement over there?
Yes, definitely. So, as I said earlier, we are still lagging on that as an industry to start with. And predominantly, we use structured kind of data, the kind of data that Marwa was mentioning, like AUM, portfolios, transactions, holdings. So this is like one part of the data. Other parts of the data is clients' data, the KYC, the profiling, the risk appetite, investment preferences. And the third type is, I say, like regulatory, macroeconomic, and external data. So these are predominantly the types of data that we are using. Now, to set ourselves for the future, there are many, what you call unstructured data that is coming into place. That's something that we are targeted, but I think ourselves and the industry are still immature in that area. We are building the skills. We have a dedicated data team currently working on the structured type of data, but they have the skills, and we are, all the systems or the due diligence or new technology that we are using, we are making sure that it caters with the new type of data that you just you mentioned, which is unstructured social media sentiments, like say interactions of the clients on our application or on the website. So this is something that we are looking to embrace in the future. But to be honest, I think even the industry is still focusing more on making use, which is still not at the top level, making use of current structured, I say, type of data.
Which then takes you back to that question that was asked in the previous panel about data privacy.
Yes.
How do you ensure that you are not breaching any data privacy? If you're going to talk about social media, how do you do that? It's not going to be that straightforward. Yes, consent is, I think, maybe the start of getting consent is start, but what else do you do?
I'll try to use an analogy. I'm not as good as Ram, but I'll try to. I read this in an article. They say like data is the new oil. it's easier to protect an oil reserve than to protect data. So that's, I think, a very difficult, very difficult task. But we're dealing with people's wealth. We know how valuable it is for them and how valuable it is for us. So that's a very high priority for us. And I say, like, you do basic things first. You make sure people who are unauthorized for certain data, they don't see that data. We focus a lot on training, because risks is mostly, we think risk is from external attacks, but I think it's more from internal, your employees, even your vendors. So you have to do lots of training, and that's very effective in protecting you. We also use typical standard data protection, encryptions, data masking, all these kind of strategies or tools we also embrace. But I think training your employees, awareness on cybersecurity. Our compliance team always do regular, sessions on raising awareness on attacks. Don't open, like if a link is, you doubt a link, don't open it, report it to the IT, and such kind of tools.
Yeah. So just to add to that,
please,
Nikhil,
yes.
from a banking perspective, one thing that we have seen, which adds on to what Salman is saying, is also customer awareness. So a lot of it is actually, a lot of your risks are reduced when your customer is made aware that the continuous messages that keep going into the customers. Don't open some emails. There are phishing emails that'll get you. There are calls that might come saying that these are from banking officials. So getting people aware itself it has a lot of implications, where as an institution, then your efforts are actually reduced considerably. You can concentrate on internal affairs, like someone mentioned.
Is this something that, maybe, as a concerted effort, maybe the central bank is something that they should be looking at and doing?
Yeah. So in Kuwait, yes, there is a Diraya program against which central bank definitely looks at with the banks. There are concentrated advertisements which go around educating customers, ensuring that their data privacy is at utmost importance. Banks obviously have been given some of these mandates where they are ensuring that they are working towards these directives of the central bank, and it is in the bank's own interest as well, to ensure that the customers are educated.
Very, very interesting. You're now putting the onus back on the customers. For your own privacy, you have to be careful. But I completely agree. I think it's a concerted effort. It's not just one stakeholder, but if you want to make sure that, I think earlier in the day we also spoke about that you cannot guarantee 100% security. So it's a collective effort. Absolutely, I think that's a given. So I'm going to now take the conversation forward, as I was saying, right? Take the conversation forward, and talk about innovative technologies, emerging technologies, automation, AI, the theme of the summit, right? So, how are you using already, maybe, or how do you plan to use this going forward? And this is the same question for all the three of you. So I don't know whether you want to start. Sanket, you first, or Salman, you first. You decide.
Yeah, I can take it first. Yeah.
So the first person gets it easy, because then you cannot repeat that.
Exactly. These are really game changer technologies. But at Markaz, we have a basic concept. We are enthusiastic about technologies, but we make sure we adopt technologies that make sense for us. If it adds value, if it helps us enhance our revenue or helps us save costs, that's our primary concept. We don't get trapped by the enthusiasm of AI, ML. We make sure that it makes sense for us, and then we look into it. But these technologies definitely are game changers. I can talk about many use cases. ML specifically for our portfolio management activity, portfolio optimization, automatic rebalancing against benchmarks, using algorithms in trading. These are straightforward applications that are already in the market, and we are adopting it slowly as we go. There are also lots of application in terms of NLP, natural language processing, in terms of chatbot, having a chatbot that sits on your data and pushing that to your clients and making them query about, let's say, what's my total AUM? how did my portfolio do? How is it compared to a benchmark? So these kind of applications is something that we are targeting and we're planning to build in the future.
So I do need to come back to you after the session so that I can talk more about these use cases, because
Sure.
I will be doing a short presentation towards the end of the day today, where I have a few use cases. Maybe you can use them, and I can use your use cases as well.
Sure.
And very interesting that you talk about chatbots. It's a very interesting thought. I think chatbots has been a two-speed kind of success. Some chatbots have been successful, but others haven't been. I think there is more work to be done on chatbots. But yeah, I think very interesting that you see small use cases that are useful, important, and the chatbot. These are the two. Next up is you.
Yeah, well, I'm not
And
a
you
digital
cannot- you cannot-
innovation or IT, but I'll tell you the way we
Sure.
what happened with us in our dashboarding. As I mentioned before, we started with a very, I would say, traditional approach. Using Power BI traditional files, and then after that we started working so closely with our IT department to create a more dynamic dashboard, real-time connectivity to our main data management system or management information system, so which of course added an enhanced functionality, and we were able to have more data security compared to the offline approach, I would say. So now we're on a very better stage. Of course, after introducing this to our decision makers in the company, they found it very useful, and it really did enhance their decision making process. So now they can, because it gives them like a really quantitative context to their business intuition, where they can see the output of their business coming in light with a lot of certain numbers and measures, which can make them, of course, more confidently make informed decision and enforce their actions a lot more quickly than before. With this new dynamic dashboard, they have, of course, enhanced visualization. They have the added graphics, charts, which gives a very good insight on the company overall performance metrics and main KPIs, and given like a comprehensive view in the whole business universe of the company. So this is what we're at right now, and we hope, inshallah, to.
So I see dynamic dashboarding as the future as well. And, taking what we discussed before, I think it's time that your top leadership starts learning Power BI.
Yeah. Well, first I sent my team members to Power BI classes, actually, and they learned about this. This is how they started using the traditional approach. And then we reached out to our IT department to take their help to use the Power BI application itself and optimize the use of technology by using this. So as we speak today, our dashboard is dynamic. It's a real-time connectivity to our MIS, which makes it a lot easier. Now our life is a lot easier than before in terms of quality, speed, and depth of reporting we give to everyone. Whatever, we used to get a lot of requirements from other departments and for different purposes, analysis and reporting requirements. Whatever used to take weeks or even months to provide or to prepare, now it's a matter of 2-3 hours. So
I think this is very great and very interesting, because a lot of companies are still using Excel, by the way. So you can
we
feel good
suffered
about
so much
it.
from Excel. So we're.
Sanket, your side.
Yes, I think I'll just want to touch base upon where Chetan started off with one of the elements of generative AI. Chatbots is something that as an organization we have seen being used extensively. It has helped in reducing structured questions where you have repetitive questions. So analyzing where these questions were coming up and having a standardized response to them was very helpful when it came to retail banking. When it came to finance, I think a lot of this had to do with routine reports where you used machine learnings, you used RPAs, where these reports have now been automated. We have also used that technology in the aspects of certain regulatory or risk management reports, where you are now able to take, even if it is not real time, it is near real time approaches, whether it is in terms of liquidity management, whether it is in terms of ensuring that the risks are addressed better and more timely. So, in principle, what we have seen through the organization is whether you talk about finance or risk management in banks per se, AI machine learning has always had or is continues to have an increasing involvement into our day-to-day lives, if I may.
Very, very interesting. I think it's no prizes for saying that AI is going to be game changing for all of us, all the industries. So I think eyes and ears, we have to keep them open for everything, any
Absolutely.
use case that comes along.
True.
Fantastic.
And I have an interesting point, food for thought probably for everyone. Last year when ChatGPT came into the picture, me and my daughter, we were just scanning, trying to ask silly questions around, okay, what is the capital of this country? Okay, tell us a joke. And then we ended up asking the question, would AI take over the world? And and we got a very interesting answer. And the response was that AI has the capability of taking over the world, but it all depends upon how they are designed. So again, it's a food for thought for everyone, to see ensure that you have a mass amount of data that AI brings into the table. It is how you use it responsibly.
Absolutely. In fact, we are, even as we speak, we are seeing positions being created, which is ethical AI positions specifically. So I think we are going in the right direction. Hopefully, we will end up in the right direction as well. I want to, just do a time check. Do we have time for questions? Yes, a little, yes. Just as Ram said, one or two questions for sure. I asked all the easy questions, so now there's time for the difficult ones.
Hi, my name is Hani from Pinnacle Group. Just a quick question because it mentioned a little bit about unstructured data and actually the data that is not internal, that is external. And lots of us, and I believe, are facing that wave of data because dealing with your structured internal data is the easiest of the game. But once you go into an external unstructured data, I believe that is. And then when we move from what we call descriptive analytics or even predictive analytics to go all the way to prescriptive, what to do in these cases of scenario. So if there are any cases that has been within the panel that goes into that direction, the utilization of unstructured data and moving beyond predictive analytics.
Who would like to take that? Salman, would you?
Yeah, I just mentioned that we're still at the structure. We are not at that level yet. It's something that we are targeting, but to be honest, we think there are still room of insights to take from structured data, and I think that's the industry in general. We are still at that level, but to be honest, that's the case for ourselves.
So, if I may hazard a response as well. So, in my opinion, it's also about me. We are at a point where, yes, there is a lot of unstructured data coming in. Everybody wants to use it, and compliance is it. So there are a lot of stakeholders in there, right? So my suggestion would be that making sure that you have the core right. So you have your base right, so that you can actually incorporate any data that comes in, right? So making sure that your tech is flexible to accept any kind of information, any kind of data streams that can come in. I think right now that is the most important thing that you can do, right? And of course, that will also help you be a fast follower. So I think there have been cases where you want to be the first mover and the first mover advantage, but it comes at a price, being a first mover advantage. So, becoming a fast follower. So once you see something is taking off, becoming a fast follower is going to be very important. So making your systems flexible, agile, all that is going to be very important. We have one more question at the back.
Yes, I just have one question. Now that we have enhanced financial reporting, what would be the optimal portfolio split in terms of technology from the investment side, from the bank side? I mean, if you have a fund, let's say $100 million, what will you invest that in? What will be that split of investment?
$100 million. So I think who would want to take the $100 million question?
See, I think it is more so about getting the right market information so that you are able to do your predictive analysis and investment opportunities are then utilized in the right way. Again, investment opportunities will always change based on market dynamics. I think it is more important from our side to understand how these market dynamics are received by the organization, how they are stored, and how they are used. So, in principle, once you have this real time information, you are actually able to respond much faster than the competition. And that is more important from our understanding, because eventually you will always make market decisions. It's probably a matter of time when you do it. So my 100 million.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I think with that, we have to draw curtains to the very interesting conversation we've had. I really appreciate, you being generous with your thoughts and inputs. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
having
Thank you.
us.
Thank you.